Welcome back. The Democrat governor of Virginia just laughed in the voters' faces and stabbed them in the back. In this video, I'll discuss how the Abishar who ran as a moderate has immediately exposed himself as a radical by pushing over 50 tax increase and new taxes in order to crush Virginia. In addition to that, Virginia Democrats are pushing a soft on crime agenda as well as special protection for immigrants. So not only did they vote for this lady, now she's going behind their back and basically fucking them up. Raising taxes, making it a way that immigrants can come over here and do what the hell they want. So let's get into it, shall we? Yeah. Let's go.
Democratic lawmakers are now proposing a flood of tax increases and creating some new ones.
Voters in Virginia are getting buyer's remorse as Governor Spanberger takes office and has proposed, along with the Democrats in the state legislature, a number of radical agenda items and, of course, about 50 new tax increases or new taxes created out of nothing. And the reason for this is because the Democrats don't care about affordability. They think that, like every other issue they complain about, is an excuse in order to increase their own power. And this is why a bunch of voters in the state of Virginia are longing for the days of Glenn Youngkin, who left them with a $3 billion surplus, a reduced tax bill, and of course a more affordable state of Virginia. But unfortunately, they decided to vote blue no matter who, and Spanberger, despite running as a moderate, has put forward a radical agenda that is basically unparalleled by anyone except for Zohran Mamdani in New York City. However, while Mamdani can't actually raise many of the taxes that he wants to raise because they require statewide approval, Spanberger and the Democrats in Virginia have no such obstacles, so they've decided to come after everyday residents in the state because, you know what? You deserve it for daring to vote Democrat. You thought it was going to be different, and you thought this was a moderate. Well, you're absolutely wrong in every possible way, because while Spanberger warned people about calling themselves socialists previously, the fact of the matter is she's still on that train, make no mistake about it. And this is what we're going to talk about today. But before we do, I want to thank everybody who supports this channel via actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay?
Here's a list of the many tax increases and proposals Democrats in Virginia are considering passing. They include additional local sales tax in all Virginia counties and cities, new personal property tax on electric leaf blowers and electric landscaping equipment, large employer tax, gun and ammunition tax, new income tax brackets, a delivery tax. This would hit you if you make an order on Amazon, Uber Eats, or an order that includes UPS, FedEx delivery, etc. here in Northern Virginia. There's also a tax they're looking at for events, concerts, an investment income tax, storage facility tax, gym membership tax, dog walking tax, dog grooming tax, counseling tax, digital personal property tax, new car taxes and highway use fees, an increase in the hotel tax here in Arlington, statewide speed cameras. Now, these aren't taxes, but they would include more fines for some drivers, dry cleaning tax, home repair tax, and a vehicle repair tax.
Now look, when you hear that list, it might sound comedic, it might sound like it's a joke, but make no mistake about it, this is exactly what the Democrats do everywhere that they go into power, and even if they don't get all of these new tax increases implemented as soon as they are, they're almost never going away. It's almost impossible in this country to get rid of any type or category of tax, which is why they're trying to basically blitz through whatever they can get, and again, this hits at the heart of affordability, and of course at the heart of their environmentalist agenda, because these people had passed laws in previous years while they were in power to restrict things like gas-powered leaf blowers and landscaping equipment. People ended up making the switch over to electric because, remember, it was going to be so much more cost-effective than doing the gas thing and better for the environment. But guess what? A tax on electric equipment. Of course, we have the dog grooming and, of course, the dog walking tax. We have the delivery tax, so, you know, if you ever order order anything ever in your entire life, which everyone does, you're going to have to pay an additional tax on that. And this is what the Democrats often want to do. And even if you avoid all those activities that I previously stated, you will be hit with the sales tax, which will impact every single local municipality. Now, of course, this is all done while there is a $3 billion surplus. There is no need for this at all whatsoever. They have enough revenue to run the government and then some. But the thing is, Spamberger has a lot of things that she wants to achieve, and most of those things require your hard-earned money. She wants to, of course, make Northern Virginia more transit-friendly. She wants to have all these projects for mass transit because we all know cars are evil and bad and stupid. Therefore, the wealthy people who live near the District of Columbia need better options because this is something that they think would be absolutely amazing for those folks.
When I asked about the state's enormous $2.7 billion surplus, Servo said that's going to be spent to cover Medicaid costs. He then explained the new taxes are intended to raise money to pay for government-subsidized affordable housing, schools, and financing Metro.
Affordable housing is probably going to be a big priority. The cost of housing, especially in Northern Virginia, has just gone out of control. And in the Northern Virginia area, we really have to focus on solving Metro's funding crisis. We pumped an extra $120 million or so per year of general fund money into Metro over the last 2 years. We need to come up with a permanent funding solution for that so that people can affordably use transit to get around Northern Virginia to get to work. And it's not just the train, it's also the buses. So those are some of the priorities we're talking about.
So they end up interviewing a state senator who finally, by the way, decided to comment on all the crazy tax increases that were proposed through that state. And he says, listen, sure, we have a $3 billion surplus, but the thing is, we're going to blow that on our Medicaid program. We might even import some Somalis so they could steal that $3 billion and then some. And then after we turn that surplus into a deficit, we're going to need some permanent revenue solutions in order to solve problems like the Northern Virginia Metro. Now, of course, under Glenn Youngkin, they were able to give an extra $120 million per year in the last 2 years to this Metro system to keep it afloat while still having lower taxes and a $3 billion surplus. But guess what? They're making it clear absolutely that they want to blow through it and they want to hit you in every way possible. And by the way, it makes perfect sense that you would have delivery taxes, you would have firearms taxes, by the way, additional firearms regulations and ammunition taxes, because the Virginia Democrats put up for nomination as an attorney general a guy called Jay Jones who wants to kill his political opponent. So if they want to kill you, which is what Jay Jones said in his private messages, then guess what? They definitely want to tax the hell out of you, and that's exactly what they're going to do. And again, this is all proposed immediately. This is top of their agenda to find new ways to tax you. They put up 50 different proposals in order to hit you in your pocketbook while simultaneously running on affordability. In addition to that, you heard the state senator say we have to build more affordable housing. The government has to build the housing in order to make it affordable, even though we've seen across the entire country that absolutely does not work. Affordable housing projects usually cost bare minimum double the market rate. They're absolute boondoggles. They are handouts to construction unions and well-connected groups. And in addition to that, where you have all these affordability housing schemes, you have higher prices for housing because guess what? All the regulations and red tape are what are driving up the cost. The only way to get affordable housing is to increase supply, and guess what? When prices are high, people are incentivized to build. So if you stop blocking them from building with the zoning regulations and all these other things, you will get more affordable housing. The city of Austin has done this. Again, Texas state law actually gives a maximum cap for zoning that you can have in that state. So because there's only one direction to go, they can't do rent control because it is banned statewide. They only could actually liberalize their zoning code, and guess what happened? Austin rents have fallen to before pandemic levels, before the building supply crunch, while these left-wing major metros who decided to invest more in affordable housing did not fall. They increased exponentially. This is something that we've seen over and over again, but they're telling you that you have to pay more sales tax, a delivery fee on any package you order, and all these other additional fines and fees, including red light, speed ticket increases, which, by the way, they set the speed limits where they put those cameras very low for the purpose of generating more revenue, and then after people adjust to the comically low speed, they then lower it even more so that way they can get more revenue, because it's not about safety, it's about extracting money from regular ordinary people. And they're like, well, you know, not all 50 of the new taxes that we propose day one are going to pass day one. And of course, you have political scientists saying that the governor should probably veto some of this stuff. She should probably come out against some of these taxes, because when you run on affordability and then you immediately try to tax regular ordinary people, that's kind of a bad look. But the thing is, in the state of Virginia, governors are elected for only one term, so Spanberger could give a damn about actually making things affordable. What she wanted was power. She has that power, and now she's implementing her agenda unencumbered by the promises that she made during the campaigns.
Political science professors Larry Sabato and Stephen Farnsworth believe not all of the tax increases will pass the General Assembly.
I think it's important to note that a lot of what gets proposed in the legislature never comes to pass.
But if they do pass, Sabato says Governor Abigail Spanberger should get involved.
The impression is terrible, and it contradicts the theme of affordability. She has the veto power, and there's item veto. There are a lot of things that she can employ, and they will be employed, because otherwise this will end up being the central criticism of her first year in office.
We're waiting for a response from Spanberger on if she plans to veto the proposed tax increases. We do know Spanberger isn't opposed to all tax and fee increases. Last week, Spanberger told lawmakers that Virginia will rejoin the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative. That move would add a fee back on your electricity bill.
Now, in addition to that, Spanberger has promised to rejoin this greenhouse initiative, which of course will add an extra tax to your electric bill in order to shame you for daring to use electricity and heat during the winter or during the summer, because, you know, obviously you're a sinner against Mother Earth and you need to pay for that. But again, this is just on the taxation side. We're already radical enough over there, but guess what? She also signed an executive order day one, blocking the state of Virginia from working with ICE agents, so illegal immigrant criminals are going to be protected. However, Spanberger also wanted to go out of her way to protect other criminals, so we also have proposals to end mandatory minimums for non-serious crimes, no big deal crimes like rape, assault, manslaughter, and all these violent crimes that they're now going to classify as non-violent crimes.
Virginia Democrats adding to their laundry list of radical proposals. This is a new bill. It's moving through the state's legislature, and it would eliminate mandatory minimum prison sentences for serious crimes. These include rape and violent sexual assault, voluntary manslaughter, assaults on law enforcement officers, certain child...
If this don't wake y'all the fuck up about Democrats, this is all the Democrats' agendas. Not just in one little state, this is the whole fucking agenda of Democrats. For example, Virginia wants to tax people who use their electricity. Greenhouse thing. Some bill that Obama or Joe Biden passed back then. Got blocked. She wants to redo it. That means you'll freeze to death in winter while using electricity. And you'll burn up in the summer if you don't use electricity. If you use your electricity, they want to charge you for it. Now that rape and such is not going to be a serious crime. It's going to be a minimal sentence crime. Meaning they're not going to serve the whole mandatory sentence for it. Like Van Slander, instead of spending life in prison, maybe 7 years max, get out. Assault on law enforcement, maybe a year. This is the Democrats' agenda all along, people. I'm going to cut off today. Have a nice time.